Trail cameras are commonly used by hunters to monitor animal movement, but this one was installed for a very different reason. People near this wooded area had reported repeated screaming sounds, believed to be human, not animal. The camera later captured these two photos. It had been placed far from any populated area. The nearest town was more than 10 miles away. The closest house sat roughly 5 miles from the location. The land was private and fenced, with no direct access unless permission was granted. No regular foot traffic was expected in that area. Who or what did it capture, and why were they out there at such a late hour? A man was hiking alone through the Appalachian Mountains during a quiet stretch of the day. Suddenly, an elderly man appeared, walking toward him from the opposite direction. As they passed shoulder to shoulder, the older man softly spoke a warning.
"Don't step off the trail."
A few seconds later, an uneasy feeling set in. The hiker stopped and turned around, but the trail behind him was empty. Shaken, the hiker stayed on the marked trail and finished the hike as quickly as possible. To this day, he still wonders who that man was and how he vanished so suddenly into the Appalachian woods. But was this a real encounter, or a story created by AI? While exploring the Bacalar ruins, a visitor took a photo without noticing anything unusual at the time. It wasn't until he was reviewing the image that something unsettling appeared. Between the bushes and trees, a translucent humanoid figure can be seen standing among the ruins. No one remembered seeing anything there in real life. The ruins themselves were uncovered during the construction of the Maya train, an area already rich with history and long-forgotten pasts. Unsettled by what he saw, the man shared the image online, looking for answers. Some users suggested the photo looked filtered or digitally altered, pointing to its low quality. However, the man insisted the image was completely original, exactly as it was captured that day. No edits, no filters. To this day, there is no clear explanation for what appears in the photo. A trail camera was set up near Mount Shasta after reports of strange activity. A researcher placed several cameras in the area to record what was happening. During a routine check, one camera was missing and was later found far from its original spot. He went home to review the footage and discovered something unsettling. The recording showed a frightening, man-like figure moving through the area. The clip was shared with local residents and online groups. Some believed it was some kind of creature, while others suggested it was a person wearing a mask or costume. That explanation is likely, but it doesn't make it any less disturbing. Who was this, and why would they do this? To prank the community? A man was exploring the swamps of Maine when he encountered a wild elk. He stood nearby and recorded the animal as it watched him closely. Moments later, it charged toward the man, and the video cut off. Elk are massive animals and can seriously injure people if they feel threatened. Always keep your distance. While hiking in Southern California, this man came across something that immediately caught his attention. At first glance, it looked like nothing more than a rough grey rock. But from one specific angle, something unsettling became clear. A human skull shape appeared in the stone. The features didn't look carved or etched in afterward. Curious, he decided to take it home. After sharing the images online, reactions came quickly. Many people urged him to return it to where he found it, warning that objects like this are often associated with bad luck or curses. So, would you have taken something like this home or left it exactly where it was found? A couple was outside smoking when something in the distance caught their attention. Near the bushes, they noticed a dark human-shaped figure standing still. Startled, they quickly snapped a photo and went back inside. The person who shared the photo said he had lived there for over 15 years and had never seen anything like this before. So was it someone quietly watching from a distance, or was it just another case of pareidolia? This couple was out enjoying a day in nature, filming casually as they explored the area together. At one point, the man began recording his girlfriend as she stopped and sat down, lifting a small digital camera to take a photo of him in return. Nothing seemed unusual at first, but as he zoomed in, something unexpected happened. A small figure suddenly ran behind her. The man immediately noticed it and instinctively tracked the movement with his camera as it vanished behind a nearby tree. Seconds later, the figure appeared again, this time seemingly hiding behind tall reeds. The clip ends shortly after, without any explanation of what the figure was. Some viewers insist the footage was edited or staged. Others believe it shows a real, unexplained creature briefly caught on camera. With no follow-up footage and no clear details, the question remains: what ran behind her that day? Denise Pickering traveled to northern Spain in the spring of 2015 to hike the Camino de Santiago, one of the world's oldest and most well-known pilgrimage routes. At 41 years old, the Arizona native was walking the trail alone, as many pilgrims do, following marked paths that wind through forests, farmland, and small villages. Then, in April, disaster struck. Denise set out on a section of the route but never arrived at her next destination. When fellow hikers and hostel operators realized she hadn't checked in, concern quickly grew. Spanish authorities launched a search along the trail, focusing on the areas where she was last seen. For months, there were no answers. 5 months later, police arrested a 39-year-old local man who lived near the Camino. At first, he denied any involvement. But after investigators presented new forensic evidence, he changed his statement and admitted responsibility. Denise's body was later found hidden beneath branches near the suspect's property, in an area close to the trail. The suspect was denied bail and later convicted on homicide charges, bringing a grim end to a case that deeply shook the hiking and pilgrimage community. Late at night, this man decided to visit a place known as the Crybaby Tunnel. Crybaby tunnels are tied to long-standing urban legends found in several parts of the United States, most notably in Texas and Ohio. The stories vary, but they all center around a tragic event involving a mother and her child near or inside these tunnels. Some versions of the legend claim the child was abandoned. Others say the baby was thrown from a bridge or struck by a passing train. According to the legend, a baby's cries can sometimes be heard echoing through the darkness. As the man explored the area, something unsettling happened. A faint crying sound began to emerge. The sound didn't come from any visible source, and it didn't stop. Feeling uneasy and unsure of what he was hearing, the man didn't stay to investigate. He quickly left the tunnel and the surrounding area. A man was driving through a forested area late at night when his dash cam recorded a strange figure on the side of the road. The figure looked like a woman in a long white dress, with her head bent down. The man said he didn't notice it at the time, but later found it while showing his family the road he'd been driving at night, because something about the road had already left him feeling creeped out. Imagine going back through your footage and suddenly finding this. Two friends were exploring an abandoned mine when this photo was taken during their visit. At the time, nothing seemed unusual. The mine was quiet, empty, and exactly what they expected from a long-forgotten site. It wasn't until they got home and began going through their photos that something unsettling stood out. In one image, just behind one of the men, what appears to be a face can be seen emerging from the darkness. Neither of them had noticed anyone else inside the mine. The location itself already carried a heavy history. Locals had previously mentioned that someone had lost their life there years ago. Near the mine's entrance, the story seems to be confirmed. Several candles have been placed around the area, and a welded metal cross, nearly 2 meters tall, stood fixed nearby. A quiet memorial and a reminder of the tragedy tied to the site. Whether the face in the photo was a trick of light, pareidolia, or something connected to the mine's past remains unclear. But after noticing it, neither of them felt the same about that visit again. On October 10, 2024, around 9 p.m, a man was standing near the lakeshore in Pickering, Canada. The night sky was clear and calm, so he decided to take a photo. At first, the image looked like a normal night sky shot, but when he looked closer, he realized he had captured something unexpected. A group of bright lights appeared overhead. They were evenly spaced and arranged in a straight line across the sky. The man shared the photo online, where people began debating what the lights could be. Some suggested satellites, others thought drones, but no confirmed explanation was ever given. To this day, the source and purpose of those lights remains unknown. While working in a park in downtown Flint, Michigan, this man noticed something strange inside an old tree.
But look at what we found inside.
Inside, he found a solid geometric object with sharp edges. The shape did not resemble rot, roots, or any known tree growth. The structure appeared embedded deep within the trunk. Some people in the comments offered a reasonable explanation, suggesting it was probably just an old landmarker, and I agree that seems the most logical. But I can imagine it must have been a strange discovery. A Facebook user's brother had purchased this photograph at a garage sale in Oregon about 15 years ago. It had no date, name, or negatives. The image showed a quiet backyard, but there was something unusual. On the right side near the fence, a human shape was visible. When enlarged, the shape appeared small and low to the ground. Experts found no signs of editing or manipulation. The photo has remained unexplained since then. The user posted it to Facebook believing it might be a ghost. These men were hiking through dense jungle terrain when they captured a moment that stunned viewers online. From the edge of the forest, a massive snake suddenly emerges. Within seconds, it plunges straight into the water. The size is what immediately stands out. The snake appears far larger than what most people would expect to see in the wild. Many viewers believe it could be one of the largest snakes ever recorded on camera. Others aren't convinced, arguing the footage may be digitally altered or edited to exaggerate the scale. So far, no official confirmation has been made about where the footage originated, or whether the snake is real and as large as it appears. Now, if you're enjoying my videos, please consider subscribing to the channel. Your support helps me creating new stories every week, and it means the world to me. Thank you so much for watching. Late one night in Florida, a woman named Stoney was getting into her car when something strange caught her attention. Clothing bags were being pushed out of a nearby donation bin. At first, she assumed someone must be inside. Concerned, she pulled out her phone and began recording. She checked the bin carefully, but there was no one there. It wasn't until later, while reviewing the footage, that something unsettling appeared. For just a brief moment, a shape can be seen emerging from inside the bin. It looks like a hand. The detail went completely unnoticed at the time. And if it really was a hand pushing the bag out from inside, why didn't she see anyone? The video offers no clear answer, so the question remains, what was inside that donation bin that night? While hiking near Switzer Falls in the Angeles National Forest, 2 hikers suddenly found themselves in serious trouble. It was a Saturday evening, and as daylight faded, both hikers suddenly slipped and fell into a creek. They were soaked, cold, and stranded in the dark. Cell service was unavailable, leaving them with no way to call for help. Realizing the danger of the situation, they activated a satellite SOS device they were carrying. The signal transmitted their exact location to rescue teams. While waiting, the hikers did what they could to survive the night. They started a small fire, dried their clothes, and changed into dry socks to prevent hypothermia. Around 7 p.m., the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department received the emergency alert and began a rescue operation. When responders reached the hikers, they safely extinguished the fire and escorted both individuals back along the trail to the parking lot. Fortunately, no serious injuries were reported. This security camera captured something that left viewers deeply unsettled. Perched high among the branches, a humanoid figure can be seen looking downward. The figure appears to have long, dark hair and is dressed in what looks like a flowing white gown. Because of its position in the tree, some viewers were quick to draw comparisons to figures from Greek mythology, such as nymphs or dryads, spirits said to be bound to trees and forests, representing nature's life force. The person who shared the footage insists it is authentic and says they are genuinely searching for an explanation. However, online reactions were divided. Many people immediately dismissed the video as edited or staged, suggesting it was created to attract attention. Others weren't so sure. Unfortunately, there was no verifiable proof confirming whether the footage is real or manipulated. No follow-up evidence was ever provided. As it stands, the video remains unverified, leaving viewers to decide for themselves whether it captures something extraordinary or something carefully constructed. One night in Puerto Rico, a man was spending time outside when something truly unsettling unfolded. The footage, uploaded by an account called Note Passe PR, begins with a dog suddenly barking toward the jungle. The barking isn't random. It's focused, intense, and directed at something hidden in the trees. Moments later, something disturbing happens. A large tree in the forest begins to shake violently. The movement is far too strong to be explained by wind, and the tree is much too large to be shaken so violently by any known animal native to the area. As the tree continues to move, the dog keeps barking, clearly reacting to whatever is out there. But the camera never captures the source. No figure, no animal, no explanation. A woman was walking through a public park when something unusual caught her attention. Nearby, another woman was standing completely still. Minutes passed, nearly 5, and she didn't move at all. The stillness was so unusual that it began to draw attention from others in the park. According to experts, episodes like this can sometimes be linked to medical conditions, extreme stress, disassociation, or brief neurological or mental lapses. Without more information, it is impossible to know what was really happening in that moment. A group of friends were spending time outdoors in Arizona when they noticed something unusual in the sky. A bright light appeared overhead, standing out clearly against the darkness. The friends recorded the moment, unsure of what they were seeing.
What is this? We are out here in Arizona trying to figure out what is going on. We're going to see if we can get it dialed in with the phone. Oh, it's actually fire.
Oh, wow. Dude, they're here. I don't know what else to say.
What in the world is that?
After the video was shared online, viewers began debating possible explanations, from drones and flares to atmospheric effects. So far, no official confirmation about the source of the light has been released. A powerful cold front has been sweeping across parts of the Midwest and Canada, pushing temperatures well below zero in many areas. During this extreme cold, people began reporting something unusual and alarming. Trees were suddenly exploding, seemingly out of nowhere. While it sounds unbelievable, there is a real explanation behind it. When temperatures drop rapidly, the sap inside a tree can freeze very quickly. As sap freezes, it expands. That expansion creates intense pressure inside the trunk. In rare cases, the pressure becomes too great, and the tree can crack or split violently. Weather experts say this phenomenon is uncommon, but it can happen during severe and sudden cold waves. For safety reasons, people are advised to keep their distance from trees during extreme cold, especially if creaking or cracking sounds are heard. A group of teenagers in South Asia were spending the day swimming near a water-filled cave, filming casually as they joked and enjoyed themselves. Everything felt normal, until one of them suddenly noticed something across the pool. He pointed toward the dark opening of a cave carved into the rock. That's when the camera caught it. From inside the cave, a dark human-shaped figure appeared. Its body looked completely black, and it didn't walk like a normal person. The video quickly spread online, sparking debate. Some claim it's nothing more than a prank, clever editing, or even AI-generated footage. Others believe it could be a wild individual living in remote cave systems, something that has been reported in isolated regions before. With no follow-up footage and no clear explanation, what emerged from that cave remains unknown. Tourists hiking high in the mountains of Cyprus came across something completely unexpected. Embedded in the rock were marine shell fossils, far above sea level. These weren't small fragments carried by erosion. They were clearly preserved shells, estimated to be around 2 million years old. What makes the discovery so striking is the location. The fossils weren't found near the coast, not in a riverbed, but deep in the mountains, thousands of meters above the sea. According to geologists, this land was once part of the ocean floor. Over millions of years, powerful tectonic forces slowly pushed sections of the seabed upward, forming the mountains we see today. But the scale of this process is difficult to imagine. Entire stretches of ocean floor would have had to rise together, gradually lifting marine life with it. Cyprus isn't alone. Similar marine fossils have been discovered high in mountain ranges across the world, including the Himalayas, the Alps, and the Andes. Still, standing on a mountain and finding proof that it was once underwater forces a strange realization. A strange video was uploaded online by a person who claimed to be half human and half beast, living in the wild. The person used the name Alan. The footage shows a man with dirty hands and legs walking through the woods.
It's time to do a YouTube tutorial.
The video was recorded on a phone, and he speaks as if he understands how social media works, asking viewers to subscribe and like, something that doesn't quite fit with someone living alone in the wild.
Here. So YouTube tutorials.
Most people agreed the story was fake, but still, many remain intrigued by this mystery man. During a hike in Dominica, something nearly brought their trip to an abrupt end. A snake was resting in the sun, unseen at first, and they nearly stepped on it. Luckily, they noticed it just in time because it turned out to be a boa constrictor. While non-venomous, boas are powerful ambush predators and can strike quickly and farther than expected when they feel threatened. They walked around it and continued their hike, watching their every step. A couple went to a local cemetery to practice night photography. They took several photos and left without noticing anything unusual. Later that night, while reviewing the images, they spotted a human-like figure. The figure appeared to be standing behind a tree in the background. It was not visible at the time the photo was taken, and also not visible in any of the other photos. Was it an apparition of someone buried there, or another person? It would have been helpful if they had included the other photos as well. But if what they're saying is true, it's definitely interesting footage. A Reddit user was walking his dog in the Canadian woods. For the first time, he went off the trail, following deer tracks, but ended up finding something strange. Hidden in the trees was an interesting-looking wooden shelter. The area looked empty and rarely used. It seemed abandoned. Next to the shelter, he found this creepy mannequin. It appeared to be placed there like a scarecrow, not to scare off birds, but people. He asked around afterward, but no one in the area knew anything about it. In September 2014, 38-year-old Aaron Hedges went elk hunting with friends in Montana's Crazy Mountains. Hedges left camp alone to pick up supplies from a nearby cache, but sadly, never returned. His companions departed as a snowstorm moved in, and a search began later. Teams found scattered equipment, including his boots, but no sign of him. Months passed before his remains were discovered, several miles from where he was expected to be. How Hedges reached that location was never clearly explained. Some wondered if he had become lost in the harsh terrain, while others speculated about more mysterious possibilities. The exact circumstances of his disappearance and the final hours of his life remain a haunting mystery. Reddit user Amazon was about to enter a forest in Sweden when they spotted two old baby strollers. The strollers were empty and placed side by side near the path, with no adults or children nearby. Some commenters suggested they could be older models from the 1990s, which made the discovery even stranger. Others thought they might have been left behind as a prank or forgotten after being used as toys. So far, no updates have explained who left the strollers there or why, but the scene certainly gave off an eerie feeling. A person was walking along a forest path near an old abandoned castle when they captured something unusual on their footage. A dark, translucent figure stood ahead. It looked human, dressed entirely in dark clothing, and remained perfectly still. The castle was said to be haunted, something the person only discovered later while doing some research. At the time, they didn't see the figure and couldn't explain it, leaving them to wonder if it was something paranormal. In February 2024, 3 friends were riding their motorcycles through a quiet forest at daybreak when the friend in front suddenly slammed the brakes.
Apaan, Cuk? Mat, apaan anjing? Mat! Yan. Wih, itu, Cuk. Astagfirullah, Cuk. Astagfirullah. Mat, motor lu dulu, Cuk.
There was a white figure standing completely still. When someone yelled that it was a Pocong, the figure suddenly jumped. Being deeply terrified, all 3 turned and fled.
Misi, Mbak.
Permisi.
Mat, samperin aja, Mat. Nggak apa-apa, Mat. Nggak apa-apa, Cuk. Goblok.
A Pocong, in Indonesian folklore, is said to be the ghost of a person who was buried in a shroud, still wrapped tightly from head to toe. Many describe it as hopping rather than walking because of the tied burial cloth. Do you think this was staged, or do you believe Pocongs are real? A Russian YouTuber known as Phantom once explored an abandoned house deep in the woods, a place surrounded by old local legends. Near the property, he noticed a weathered sign written in Russian, listing an owner's name and the year 1910, suggesting the house had been abandoned for more than a century. Inside, he found something unsettling. On the stone floor, unlit candles had been carefully placed in a circle. Uneasy, Phantom left the building. After some time, he began to doubt himself, thinking it might have been nothing more than a prank or an abandoned setup, and decided to return later that night. That's when things escalated. When he entered the house again, the candles were no longer unlit. They were burning. and standing in the center of the circle was a tall figure, dressed in long robes. Panic set in. Phantom ran from the house and into the woods, but the figure followed him. The video cuts out shortly after. That said, I don't think the entire encounter was real. The visual distortions looked like deliberate camera effects or filters, possibly added to simulate equipment malfunction or fear. And if the encounter had truly been real, how did he manage to escape unharmed? And for more, just watch this next video.